Finally, references to Duel monsters. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 episode impression for episode 126 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, The Day the Devil Was Born. And oh my god, that episode! This hands down, episode 126 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 has got to be the most plot-heavy episode of the series so far. I think hands down, most people that have watched Arc 5 will agree with that. And it was great because we're finally starting to see Duel Monsters references in Arc 5. Every now and again, we'd see a couple of cards that you would remember way back from the Duel Monsters generation, but nothing else really until this episode. So basically, this episode starts off with basically Yuri is about ready to card Sora. And at the last minute, Ito and Kaito come running in, or not Ito and Kaito, excuse me. Ito and Yugo come running in and basically stop Yuri from carding Sora. And and so pretty much Yuri recognizes Ito is the traitorous commander-in-chief of the Exes invasion force. But basically, Ito's like, I don't care about that. And Yugo goes in full force against Yuri. I mean, oh my God, they're calling everything in, they're calling each other everything in the book except a human being. And some real colorful language that I'm sure is going to be changed come the dub, but I don't watch the dub of Arc 5 really at all, so, it is what it is. But, so basically Yuri says that he's going to duel Yugo, but something doesn't feel right and he's going to use his actual deck. And from that moment on, we knew that shit was going to get real because the four Yuyas are on the same island, and now Yuri is going to use his dragon, and inevitably Yugo is going to use his. And when these four are in close proximity and they're all together, we get full on, we get introduced to this evil force that's within all four of them. And we get into what that evil force really is a little bit in the episode, so let me keep going. But while all this is going on, Yuya, who is still trapped in the doctor's lab, is watching on screen as his dad, quote-unquote dad, because now I'm completely unsure about that, is confronting Akabaleo, about the professor, about just, why are you doing this? This is absurd. You used to be a genius. You were the genius that created Solid Vision, and then Yusho says, and that's what led to the creation of action dueling, which I am the proud founder of. And Akabaleo basically said, I did not create anything. And he reveals that at one point, all the dimensions were together into one unified world, as he calls it. And this unified world, Solid Vision, actually exists, but it was Akabaleo, the professor's idea to morph that and combine it with Duel monsters. And while we're getting this montage back to this unified world, we see several Duel monsters references. First, let's start off with Leo's dual disc. It is Kaiba's original dual disc. The ones we saw way back in Battle City days, the one that made Yugi famous and Kaiba famous. It's the same dual disc that Akabaleo's using to incorporate Solid Vision with dueling. So he's using Kaiba Corp technology at that point, essentially. But, so anyway, we get the whole backstory about, how these two things came together. And Akabaleo reveals to everybody that the Duel monsters have hearts and souls. Again, another epic reference to Duel monsters. And basically, when you combined the Duel monsters did not like having their souls and hearts brought into real life like this. They did not appreciate it. It did not mix well. And, it just cascaded into one big thing. But before we get into the big thing, which was the big plot story behind this whole episode, There were also a couple of Duel Monster card references that I wanted to bring up that were interesting. They chose some very interesting ones. They chose Blackluster Soldier, Yugi's. They chose Gearfree and Guilford the Lightning, Joey's. They showed Force Raider and Paladin of White Dragon, which are Kaiba's. And then they also showed us Buster Blader and a couple of other random cards. But it's interesting to note that the monsters they specifically referenced, two of them were Yugi's, two of them were Joey's, two of them were Kaiba's, the three legendary duelists of Duel Monsters. So, that was a really nice touch, and I applaud the writers for doing that, because this is an kind of it's a very cool way to integrate the old with the new, especially considering none of this stuff is supposedly supposed to be connected. But theorists are going back and forth about that, so we don't really know. I mean, they brought in references from every single generation, and now it looks like we're finally getting references from Duel Monsters as well. Still don't know what that can mean future down the road, but anyway, so while all this is going on, it's revealed that as the battles got more intense, there was one particular duelist, Zark. And again, Zark, everybody, you look at that, you're like, Zark. Wait a minute. The ultimate demon in Duel Monsters was Zork. But now we have Zark, who is the ultimate demon, I guess we should say, of Arc 5. And it is revealed that Zark actually had control of all four dragons that the Yuyas hold. He had Odd Eyes, he had Star Venom Fusion Dragon, he had Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, and he had Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. So this demon-like duelist, kept feeding on the darkness and the calls of the duelists that were finding this all entertaining, and it just made his power increase. And then, while we're getting all these revelations into the backstory about Zark, it turns out that Time Gazer and Stargazer Magician and the power of Pendulum is actually allowing some kind of rift to open to where Zark and his powers can start to cross over. Again, very reminiscent of Duel Monsters way back in the day when Zork and Kaiba's attacks collided and opened the gateway into the future world, not just the ancient Egyptian past. So again, another great homage to Duel Monsters there. But so basically, while all this is going on, Yuya looks like he's having a heart attack at this point, and he's actually communicating, along with the other Yuyas at this point, Zark's words, saying, "We will become one. We will become one." And Yuya goes full-on demon mode and actually calls all of his cards back to his hand as he's conjuring up a tornado. And at this point, Kaito and Ito, that have already checked on Kurosaki, left him for dead and went to go get Yuya. But Yuya at this point is combining with Zark and literally blows Kaito and Ito away and reconfigures his deck. So while all this is going on, we go back to the Utopia world, and Zark is finally ready to cross over. And at this point, Zark has combined with his dragons, and you hear him chanting that he has gained power equivalent to the gods, or to a god. And again, another Duel Monsters references, because Zark is fused to this dragon, this shadow dragon, very similarly to the way Merrick used to fuse with the winged dragon of Ra back in Battle City. And also becoming a god, or having power equivalent to god, that just screams Duel Monster reference, everybody. This episode was ultimate plot, and at the same time, all these references to Duel Monsters, Arc 5 126, holy crap, I can't believe we ended it with a cliffhanger, because now we've got Zark's story, And basically, we don't know the whole circumstances as to why we don't know why or how exactly the Utopia world got split into the different dimensions, but Akabaleo does explain in this episode particularly how the only difference between these dimensions are their summoning methods. And we also got introduced to this girl here who looks like she's going to be Yuzu's Utopia world counterpart, and we're going to get her backstory, I believe, next episode. But this episode was just all over the place. It was epic. I love the Duel Monsters references. We found out once and for all the professor's not really a bad guy. It turns out he's actually trying to stop Zark from coming back, and Zark is pretty much a being of his own creation, or that's the way he feels about it anyway. So like I said, this episode was just great. It was plot heavy, lots of Duel Monster references. We're finally getting some backstory into what this thing inside Yuya really is, and its name is Zark. And it's just, this episode screamed flashbacks to Duel Monsters, everybody. So I highly, highly recommend Arc 5 126, especially if you're a nostalgist like me who really, really love Duel Monsters, because this episode is one of those that's going to take you back. So anyway, everybody, in my opinion, I give this episode a 9 out of 10. This episode has got to be on the top watch list for Arc 5, and I'm really excited. Even though we got a cliffhanger this week, next week we're going to get the answers to the Yuzu side of the equation, and hopefully finally find out what is Academia's true purpose. And that preview just, it's screaming like, oh no, we have to wait a week. So yeah. Anyway, everybody, that aside, in the comments down below, let me know what you guys think. What did you like about this episode? Did you guys love this episode like I did? Did you think it was all over the place? Are you guys surprised at the revelations we got out of Akabaleo? Are you guys excited for the Duel Monsters flashbacks? Are you guys confused? Are you guys going to go watch episode 126? If you haven't already, just let me know in the comments down below, because as always, I enjoy hearing from you. All right, everybody, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.